advances in science, technology, and medicine.
Ancient Egypt was not just a civilization of monumental structures and profound spirituality, it was also a society of great intellectual achievements. The Egyptians were pioneers in numerous fields, including medicine, mathematics, astronomy, and engineering, making advancements that would influence future generations and shape the course of human history. Their practical knowledge and innovations were crucial in the development of their society and contributed significantly to the understanding of the natural world. In medicine, the ancient Egyptians displayed remarkable skill and knowledge. They understood human anatomy and were able to perform surgeries, including amputations, trepanation, removal of part of the skull, and other complex procedures. The Ebers Papyrus, a medical text dating back to around 1550 BCE, contains hundreds of prescriptions and treatments for a variety of ailments, demonstrating the Egyptians' deep knowledge of herbal medicine and remedies. They recognized the importance of hygiene and cleanliness, using antiseptic ointments and other treatments to prevent infection. The ancient Egyptians were also adept at understanding the symptoms and treatment of diseases such as diabetes, which they referred to as the pissing disease. They understood the link between diet and disease and took measures to prevent and treat various conditions with a combination of medical practices, including the use of natural remedies, surgical procedures, and magical incantations. In mathematics, the Egyptians developed a sophisticated understanding of geometry, which was essential in the construction of their monumental structures such as the pyramids and temples. They were one of the first civilizations to employ a system of measurements based on units like the cubit, a measure of length that was used for building purposes. Their knowledge of geometry allowed them to construct buildings with precise measurements and alignments. In addition to practical mathematics, the Egyptians also created a calendar system based on the lunar and solar cycles. This system, with its 365-day year, helped the Egyptians track the seasons and plan agricultural activities. Their ability to measure time accurately also led to the development of the first known leap year system. In astronomy, the Egyptians had a deep understanding of the stars and the movement of celestial bodies. They used their knowledge of the night sky for practical purposes, such as navigation, agricultural planning, and religious observance. The Egyptians created the first known star catalog, which included detailed information about the positions of stars and constellations. Their understanding of the heavens also influenced their architecture, as many of their temples and pyramids were aligned with certain celestial bodies, such as the stars in the constellation of Orion, which was associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians also observed the movements of the sun, and their understanding of the solar cycles allowed them to create a solar calendar that was remarkably accurate. The technological achievements of the Egyptians were equally impressive. They mastered the art of building monumental structures using a combination of simple tools and innovative engineering techniques. The construction of the pyramids, for example, required a sophisticated understanding of architecture, mathematics, and the use of large labor forces. The Egyptians were also skilled in the art of metalworking, creating weapons, tools, and jewelry from gold, silver, copper, and bronze. They developed techniques such as casting, engraving, and forging, which enabled them to create intricate and durable metal objects. In addition, the Egyptians invented early forms of paper made from papyrus, which was used to record important information, write religious texts, and create artistic works. This invention revolutionized communication and record-keeping, leaving a lasting impact on the development of writing systems and the preservation of knowledge. The advancements made by the ancient Egyptians in medicine, Mathematics, astronomy, and technology were not only remarkable for their time, but also laid the groundwork for future civilizations. Their contributions to these fields helped shape the scientific and intellectual development of Western civilization, influencing the ancient Greeks, Romans, and later the Renaissance scholars. The Egyptians' understanding of the natural world and their ability to apply this knowledge to everyday life allowed them to build a civilization that was not only advanced in terms of culture and art, but also in science and technology, making their achievements a vital part of their enduring legacy. The pyramids and architecture. The ancient Egyptian civilization is perhaps best known for its monumental pyramids, which have become synonymous with the country's rich history and grandeur. These colossal structures, built as tombs for the pharaohs, were not only architectural marvels but also the pinnacle of Egyptian engineering and craftsmanship. The Great Pyramid of Giza, constructed during the 4th dynasty around 2560 BCE, holds the distinction of being the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. Its immense size and precise construction are a testament to the ancient Egyptians' unparalleled understanding of mathematics, geometry, and the ability to organize massive labor forces. The precision with which the Egyptians built the pyramids is still a source of awe for modern engineers and architects. The Great Pyramid, for instance, was originally 146 meters, 481 feet, tall, though it now stands at about 138 meters, 455 feet, due to the loss of the outer casing stones. It consists of approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons. Despite being constructed without the aid of modern machinery, the Egyptians managed to align the pyramid with near-perfect accuracy to the cardinal points of the compass, showcasing their advanced knowledge of astronomy and geometry. The construction of the pyramids was a monumental task that required immense planning and organization. The Egyptians organized labor forces into highly efficient teams, with workers specialized in different tasks such as quarrying the stone, transporting materials, and assembling the structure. The methods used to transport the massive blocks of stone from the quarries to the construction site remain a subject of debate among scholars, but the sheer scale of the undertaking is a testament to the Egyptians' remarkable engineering skills. Beyond the pyramids, ancient Egypt's architectural achievements extend to an array of temples, tombs, and monuments that have survived the ravages of time. Among these are the temples of Karnak and Luxor, which were dedicated to the gods and used for religious ceremonies. The Temple of Karnak, one of the largest religious complexes in the world, was constructed over a period of several centuries and is still a major archaeological site. Its hypostyle hall, with its massive columns, is an iconic feature of ancient Egyptian architecture. Another iconic structure is the Great Sphinx of Giza, a colossal statue with the body of a lion and the head of a pharaoh, believed to represent Pharaoh Khafre. The Sphinx stands as a symbol of the pharaoh's strength and divine power. Its size and intricate design further demonstrate the Egyptians' exceptional skill in sculpture and engineering. These architectural feats were not just built for aesthetic or practical purposes. They were imbued with deep religious and symbolic meaning. The Egyptians believed that the pharaohs were divine beings, and the construction of such monumental structures was intended to honor their gods, ensure the pharaoh's immortality, and guarantee his protection in the afterlife. The pyramids, temples, and tombs were designed to create a connection between the earthly realm and the divine, with their alignment to the stars and the sun symbolizing the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. In this way, the architectural wonders of ancient Egypt were not just representations of human achievement, but also manifestations of their deep spiritual beliefs and cultural values. Religion and spiritual beliefs. Religion was the cornerstone of ancient Egyptian society, deeply influencing every aspect of life, governance, and culture. The Egyptians believed in a vast array of gods and goddesses, each overseeing different elements of life, nature, and the cosmos. Their pantheon was not just a collection of deities but a complex network of divine beings, each with specific powers and roles that governed the universe. The Egyptian gods were often associated with natural forces such as the sun, the river Nile, and the earth, and they played a vital role in the daily lives of the people. One of the most revered gods in ancient Egypt was Ra, the sun god. Ra was believed to be the creator of the world and the god who brought light and warmth to the earth. He was often depicted with a falcon head crowned with a solar disk. Ra's journey across the sky each day symbolized the cycle of life and death, as he was said to travel through the heavens during the day and the underworld, or do it at night, where he fought to defeat chaos and darkness. Ra's power was immense, and he was considered the chief deity of the Egyptian pantheon. Another central god was Osiris, the god of the afterlife, death, and resurrection. Osiris's story is one of the most well-known myths in ancient Egyptian religion. He was originally the god of life and agriculture, but after being murdered by his brother Seth, the god of chaos, Osiris was resurrected by his wife, Isis, who was the goddess of motherhood, fertility, and magic. Osiris became the ruler of the afterlife, and his myth symbolized the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, which was central to Egyptian beliefs about the afterlife. The myth of Osiris also influenced the practice of mummification, as it was believed that the preservation of the body allowed the soul to live on in the afterlife, just as Osiris was resurrected after death. Isis, Osiris's wife, was one of the most powerful and revered deities in Egypt. She was considered the ultimate mother figure, associated with protection, healing, and magic. Her influence extended beyond Egypt, and she was worshipped widely throughout the ancient Mediterranean world. Isis was often depicted as a woman with a throne-shaped crown on her head, symbolizing her role as the mother and protector of the pharaohs. The pharaoh, Egypt's ruler, was considered a divine being and the intermediary between the gods and the people. The pharaohs were seen not only as political leaders but also as gods on earth. They were believed to be the living incarnation of the god Horus, the falcon-headed god of kingship and the sky. Upon death, the pharaoh's soul would be associated with Osiris, and the ruler would continue to guide Egypt from the afterlife. The concept of divine kingship meant that the pharaoh was responsible for maintaining order, and harmony in the land, ensuring the prosperity of Egypt and its people. One of the most influential aspects of Egyptian religion was their concept of the afterlife. Unlike many ancient cultures, the Egyptians believed that life did not end with death. Instead, they viewed death as a transition to an eternal existence, a journey into the afterlife, which was seen as a continuation of life in the physical world, but in a divine and eternal form. The Egyptians believed that the soul, after death, would undergo a judgment in the Hall of Maret, where the heart of the deceased would be weighed against the feather of Mat, the goddess of truth and justice. This judgment determined whether the soul was worthy of entering the afterlife. If the soul was found to be in balance, it would be allowed to join the gods in an eternal paradise, often depicted as the field of reeds, where they would live in peace and abundance. This belief in the afterlife led to the development of elaborate burial practices and the construction of monumental tombs. Pharaohs and nobles were buried in tombs designed to ensure their safe passage to the afterlife. The tombs, such as those found in the Valley of the Kings, were filled with offerings, treasures, and food, all meant to sustain the soul on its journey and in the afterlife. The practice of mummification was a key part of this belief, as it was thought that preserving the body in its physical form allowed the soul to return to it in the afterlife. The elaborate rituals surrounding death, burial, and mummification highlight the Egyptians' deep reverence for the divine and their belief in the eternal nature of the soul. The Egyptians also believed that certain texts, such as the Book of the Dead, could aid the deceased in navigating the dangers of the afterlife. These texts were often placed in tombs and included spells and incantations designed to protect the soul from evil spirits, guide it through trials, and ensure its acceptance into the afterlife. The Egyptian view of the afterlife was not just a religious concept, but a guiding principle for life on earth. The Egyptians believed that by living a life in accordance with the principle of balance, order, and justice, they could ensure a favorable judgment in the afterlife. This belief in the continuity of life beyond death helped to shape every aspect of Egyptian culture, from their monumental architecture to their religious practices and daily life. Religion and spirituality permeated every facet of Egyptian life. It defined their worldview, shaped their social structures, and influenced their artistic and architectural achievements. The divine connection between the gods, the pharaohs, and the people remained a central theme throughout the history of ancient Egypt, and its profound influence continues to shape our understanding of ancient civilizations and their beliefs about life, death, and the beyond.